we'll start with polynomial addition in today's class. Okay, so whatever the basics needed we have discussed already. Okay, so about the structures what we are going to use here in the polynomial. So about structures and all already we have discussed, okay, in previous session. So if you take any polynomial a of x, okay, so here how are we going to store that in the array? It's a array of elements, okay. So we'll be having for in the polynomial many terms will be involved. Each and every term will be having the coefficient and the exponent, okay. So like that any number of terms you can involve in the polynomial. Okay, so here another thing what we have to remember is we are going to store the terms in the structure of array of structure we are going to use. Okay, the structure will have three elements. The first one is in the structure the first field is coefficient, second field is the exponent. So like that how many maximum terms you want to store, that should be the size of your array. So array of structure we'll use here. So if you want to perform addition of two polynomials, okay, so a of a polynomial and b polynomial will have, okay. So here for this abstract data type what we have to define, in each and every, here in this polynomial we'll have the term. So each and every term will have the exponent and the coefficient it will have, okay. So where a is the coefficient, e is the exponent, and e is the integer value, okay. The exponent in integer only we can give, we can't give the real number, so all of you know that. So if you want to check whether the polynomial, if you want to initialize that polynomial to 0, you can define the function called 0 function. So if you pass a polynomial to that function 0 function, it will initialize to 0, okay. Then if you want to check whether the polynomial is 0 or not, what you have to do for that, is 0 function you can define, okay. So is 0 function, once again, so is 0 function you have to define. You can come after some you come around 11 o'clock. So here is 0 function you can define to check whether the a polynomial is 0 or not, okay. So here if polynomial, the polynomial name if you pass, we have to return either true or false. If no elements are there in the polynomial, we'll return true, okay, because we are checking whether the polynomial is 0 or not, okay. Otherwise we have to return false. So the next one is if you pass the polynomial and the particular exponent, you can return whether whether the what in that polynomial for that particular exponent what is the coefficient, you can return it, okay. So what are the two arguments we have to pass if you want to return the coefficient? What is the exponent, okay, for which exponent you want to return the coefficient, and what is the polynomial, okay. So for example, if you consider here 3x power 20, 2x power 5 plus 4 we have. So if I pass the exponent as 20, this function, coefficient function, it should return what is the coefficient of the term which involves the exponent 20. So the coefficient is 3 here in this example in the polynomial a. Okay. So similarly, the lead exponent also, if you want to find out. Okay. So what is the highest exponent? What is the degree of the polynomial? Okay, if you want to return, what is the maximum exponent value, that we should find out and we should return. Okay. So what is the largest exponent value in that polynomial, that will be written here. Okay. So that is the use of this lead exponent function. And the next one is attach function. If you want to attach a new term means you will have the coefficient and exponent. If you want to attach that to a polynomial, then you will use the attach function. Okay. So first of all, we will check that. See, if you want to attach a term, you will pass what is the polynomial name and what is the coefficient and what is the exponent value. Okay. So if the exponent is in the polynomial, then we'll return error. Otherwise, we'll return then we will add that polynomial after attaching the term with that particular coefficient and exponent whatever you have passed. Okay. So the next one is remove function. Okay. So a remove function will perform if you want to remove a particular term, so that term will identify using the exponent. So remove polynomial comma exponent. So from which polynomial, which term you want to remove, that term's exponent you should pass as the argument. So if the exponent involving term, if it is present in the polynomial, then it will be removed. Otherwise it will return error. Okay. And the next function is single multiplication. Okay. So if you want to multiply each and every term, okay, so by a particular value. For example, if you see here, polynomial a is 3x power 20 plus 2x power 5 plus 4. If I am multiplying the complete polynomial by 2, the values will be after multiplying by 2 each and every term, I'll get the result as 6x power 20 plus 4x power 5 plus 8 I'll get. Okay, so like that if you want to perform, you can do that. Okay. And the next one is addition function, adding two polynomials, polynomial 1 and polynomial 2. Okay. And return the resultant polynomial. And the next one is multiplication function for multiplying two polynomials. Okay. So we know that the corresponding terms with the equal exponents will be found out and they will be added. Okay. So that's a way how it will work. And the next one is polynomial addition. Okay, how will we implement it, we'll see. So hash define maximum degree, whatever it is, we should give it. Then how many elements, how many terms you may involve, that you have to give. Then the next one, type the structure we have to give, and here each and every term will have the degree and the coefficient. Here first we are going to discuss about the simple method, then we will see the efficient method. So here one polynomial array will be declared. Okay, and what is the coefficient value. Okay, so degree if you give, no, for example if I give the degree as 5, from the exponent 5, then for exponent 4, exponent 3, exponent 2, exponent 1 and exponent 0, for all these terms the memory will be allocated to store the coefficient. So only the degree of this is like inefficient way of implementing the polynomial. Okay, so degree will take, so and the remaining, if I give the degree as 5, I told you how the data will be stored. Okay, so the only the coefficient will be stored. If the coefficient is 0, we have to enter it as 0, so the memory will be wasted here. So later we'll see how efficiently it can be managed. Okay, so next is for this, if you are having, even if the coefficient is 0 also, we are storing it. That's an inefficient way of storing the polynomial. But for that method, simple method, how will we write the code for addition, we'll see. Okay, so code for polynomial addition. So now we'll initialize the resultant polynomial to 0. Then till you reach the 0th term, okay, that is exponent 0 having term, till that, because it will be stored in descending order. Okay, the exponents terms. Okay, so till we reach that terms, okay, e0 of a and e0 of b, till that point we are going to compare the exponents of a and b. If it is -1, then what we are going to do, we are going to identify that the year polynomial a is that particular term, it is particular term's exponent, it is lesser than the term what we are presently processing from the polynomial b. Then what will we do, we will consider the term, lead term what we have fetched from the polynomial b, that is greater 1, and that we will attach to the resultant polynomial. Okay, then the coefficient of the term what we are attaching to the resultant polynomial is lead exponent of the b polynomial, and exponent so from the b polynomial, the lead term will take. Then we'll remove the term as we have handled. Okay, we will go move to the next term in the polynomial b. Okay, so now when we were comparing the present terms exponent of polynomial a and b, if both of the exponents are same, then the compare macro will return 0. In such case, we have to add both the coefficients of polynomial a and b and store it in sum. If it is if the sum is not equal to 0, okay, then what we have to do, we have to attach the sum, okay, that's a coefficient, and one of the exponent we can fetch, okay, whether it is exponent b or exponent of polynomial a or b, which is presently we are handling, which term presently we are handling. Okay, then after adding that, we will remove the term which we have handled from the polynomial a and polynomial b. Okay, then when we are comparing the lead exponent of a, if it is greater than lead exponent of b, then it will go, the compare macro will return 1. In such case, we have to attach the coefficient of the lead term a, and then its exponent we have to add to the resultant polynomial, and we have to remove the lead term from a. Okay, so the drawback in the previous design is we have the problem like even if you have 0 coefficient also, the memory will be allocated. That's not an efficient method. So what we can do, we can use only one global array to store the polynomial a and polynomial b, and the resultant polynomial also we can store in the same array. Okay, so here some more additional variables we are going to use to avoid the memory space. Okay, so for example, if you consider polynomial a has 2x power 1000 plus 1, so in between if you see 999 elements are not there. Okay, so if the previous method is used, all the zero coefficient having values will be stored here, but the method what we are going to see in that, if the coefficients are 0, such values will not store. So for each and every term, okay, we are going to capture its coefficient and exponent and we'll put it in the array. Then we will have what is a start A and what is a finish A. Similarly for polynomial B also, what is start B and what is finish B will have, and the resultant polynomial D will store from the available location. There the free memory space will be that position will be pointed by a while. Okay, so b of x, that's a polynomial b. So there if you see, all the terms are there: x power 4, 10x power 3, 3x power square plus 1. So all the terms are there. So we have stored here polynomial a 2x power 1000, right? So 2 and exponent 1000, 1 x power 0, 1 and 0. Then here 1 x power 4, it is stored, start b, polynomial b, 10 power 3, 3 x power 2 and 1. Okay, 1 x power 0, so that is why 0 is stored. In this way, the polynomials, both the polynomials, input polynomials can be stored in one array, and in the same array, the destination added array also, added polynomial also will be stored. Okay, storage requirements, start, finish. We are going to use many variables like start A, finish A, like that, start B, finish B, then start destination array, destination polynomial, and finish B. Okay, so here little bit alteration done in the declaration of the array, polynomial array. So maximum terms what we are going to store, we just take it as 100. If you want to change it, you can change. And the polynomial structure, in that for each and every term, coefficient and exponent will be there. Okay, so how many terms you want, so many terms you can mention when you are declaring the terms. Polynomial is the, here if you see, it's a data type, user defined data type given, defined here. Okay, and available initially it will be 0. Okay, so here for polynomial addition function, we'll pass start A and finish A, start B and finish B values, start D and finish D values also will pass. So initially the start D will point to the avail value till start A, one by one term will access it till it reaches we'll increment start A every time. Okay, after handling that term. Okay, so till it reaches finish A, we'll keep on incrementing. Similarly, start B also we'll keep on incrementing till finish B. So here all the same logic is used. Compare, the term will fetch from the single array. Okay, so terms of start A dot exponent and terms of start B dot exponent we are comparing. If the polynomial lead term, if it is less than lead term of B polynomial, the compare macro will return -1. In such case, B polynomial term is larger one, bigger one, that has to be attached to the destination polynomial, and then we have to increment B polynomial, B value by 1. Next one is case 0. When will we get into this case 0? When we are comparing, okay, polynomial A, that present term, and polynomial B terms, both exponents, if they are same, it will enter into this case. That time we have to add both of them and store it in this coefficient. So that will be attached to the destination along with the exponent, one of the exponent, because both of the exponents are same. Okay, in that case, then increment to access the next term in both polynomials a and b. Then next one is case 1. So the lead term what we are accessing from polynomial a, if it is greater than the lead term what we are accessing from polynomial b, then it will go to case 1. That time attach the what we have to do, we need to attach a polynomial's coefficient and its exponents into the destination. Okay, and here is next, after attaching it, we have to move to the next term in polynomial a. Okay, so here is start a less than or equal to finish a. Okay, after performing the addition, if the values are still some values are there in polynomial a and polynomial b, what we have to do, we have to attach the remaining terms from the polynomial a, all the terms, and we will have to attach to the resultant polynomial. In the same way, if still terms are remaining in polynomial b, all the terms we have to attach to the destination polynomial. Okay, so here if you look into the attach function, okay, so here the attach function will accept the coefficient and the exponent. Okay, so avail pointer will point to the presently available position in the polynomial array what we have. So if it reaches maximum element what we have allocated, then it is it will return the error. Otherwise, till we reach the maximum size of the array, we can capture the coefficient and exponent and store in this polynomial array what we have defined. Okay, so these are all the references. Okay, so you know about strings very clearly. Okay, so group of strings within double quotes will be, group of characters within double quotes will be called as strings. Okay, so here examples are given. If you give character name of 25 equal to RIT, if I give, that is also valid. If I give character name only the brackets, if I give an RIT, if I give also how many characters I have, accordingly the memory space will be allocated. Okay, so now let's discuss about the abstract data type for string. It is a group of characters. Okay, so let's see what are the different operations we can perform over this object string. Okay, over the group of characters, you can check whether the string is null or not. Okay, so if it has reached the maximum length, okay, if you want to check whether if you want to set a string to null, okay, then you can define a function called null. If you pass the string here, then that function can initialize the string to null. You can define another function called isNull to check whether the string is null or not. And if you want to compare two strings whether they are equal or not. Okay, so if they are equal, it will return 0. Otherwise, how many ASCII value difference is there? Okay, if they are different string, that difference will be written. Okay, so I told about isNull function. So if you are checking whether a string is null or not, can pass the string, it will return true if it is null, otherwise it will return false. If you want to return what is the length of the function, you can write length function. So if I have a string where RIT I have stored, so if I give length of college name, it will return 3. Similarly, if I want to concatenate, if I want to join two strings, I can make use of concatenation function. If I want to find out substring from a string S from the location I to location j, then I can make use of this substring function. Okay, so in a string S from the ith location to jth location, if I want to extract a string, I can write the substring function. Okay, so let us discuss about other C functions. What is the use of string cat function? It will help us to concatenate, join two strings S and T. If we want to specifically join only few characters from the string T to string S, okay, for example, only n characters if I want to fetch from T and I want to concatenate to S, so I can use string ncat of S comma T comma n. If I want to compare two strings S and T, I can write string compare of S and T. It will return either 0 or a positive value. What is the difference in that comparison, that it will return. Okay, and string n compare will help us to compare only n characters from T to S, remaining the way how it works as comparison similar to string compare only. The next one is string copy. So string T will be copied to string S. Okay, then string n copy. How many characters from the beginning of the string T you want to copy to S, that you can mention in string n copy. If you want to find out what is the length of string length function will be useful. Okay, and if you want to check whether a character C present in a string or not, okay, if you pass string character of S comma C, okay, it will return the first occurrence of C, character C in the string S. Okay, so next function is string reverse character of S comma C. From the reverse of the string, from the last of the string, okay, where the character C is occurring in the string, that will be written, the pointer will be written using string or character. Next is string token. Okay, if you want to return if you want to check for a token, okay, so if you have a string, it in the double quoted string, if you want to check, mean that delimiter you can mention. Okay, so it will help us to extract based on the delimiter whatever mentioned there. Next is string. If you want to check for a substring in a string, then you can use a string. Next is string span. Okay, if you want to find out from the span set, okay, so how many characters are occurring in the string S, that length will be written using string span. Next one is string complementary span. So how many characters are not presented from string S, okay, from the span set, that will be written from the beginning. Next is string P break, okay, of S comma span set. So it will return the pointer to the first occurrence of character from span set. Okay, so next is pattern matching. Okay, so here you have a pattern and string, okay, and a pointer, temporary pointer T. Okay, so if you want to check for the pattern in the string, then you can make use of string of S comma P. Okay, if it is not present, it will return pattern not found. Okay, so the next one is write a string insertion function. Okay, so if you want to insert a function into string, yes. Okay, so from which position you want to insert that okay, that from in which location you want to insert that I value you have to specify, and what is which character you want to insert, that you have to mention. Okay, so here we have a string s. Okay, its size is 30, and we have a temporary string also. Okay, so if I value is less, whenever it reach I value, if the user give it as negative value, or if it is greater than the length of the string, that time out of boundary it will return. Okay, otherwise we need to find out what is the length of the string. Okay, then copy that string s into a temporary string t. Okay, if the string is existing, then what we will do, we'll copy that to the string t. Okay, okay, for example, here we want to insert the string t to s. Okay, so here there is a mistake. If the string is not existing, okay, the if not string length of s, this is if not string length of s. Okay, so there is a small mistake here in this slide. Okay, if not string length of s, then what we have to do, simply we have to copy string t to s. Okay, so because the we want to insert into another string, where we want to insert, that is like empty string, so simply we will copy that string. Okay, and if the string is existing, then what we have to do, first we'll copy till ith location, we'll copy to the temporary string, then we will join t to that string, then from the s plus ith location we'll copy the remaining string. Okay, then the complete string whatever there in the temporary string will transfer to string s. Okay, so I just want you to try out this exercise. Write a user defined function to return the token from a string surrounded by a delimiter. So now let's move on to pattern matching by checking end indices first. For end indices first, for this one, string and pattern we will pass. Okay, so where is the string end, what is the length of the string, that we will store it in last s. What is the length of the pattern, that will store it in last p. Okay, and here you have to remember end match is equal to the string length. Okay, so from the 0th location till you reach the end of the string, we are going to execute this loop. Okay, every time end match will be incremented and start also will be incremented. Okay, so in textbook if you see, you will have the diagram, okay, for this. Okay, so we will be comparing the present string. Okay, what is the end of it, that we will compare with the pattern last character. Okay, so if both of them are matching, then j and I will increment, will keep on checking whether there is a match between the characters. Okay, so if j reaches, okay, whatever the pattern length, okay, if pattern length is 5, the 5th character of the string and the 5th character of pattern we are matching. So if the last character only, if it's not matching, it means that the string is not matched. Okay, it's not going to be matched with the pattern, so immediately you can come out of it. If there is a match, then only we are comparing the remaining string. the first character of string with the first character pattern, second character of string with the second character pattern, like that we are matching. Okay, so if j is equal to, if j reaches, so j we will use to fetch the character, j and I, j we will use to fetch the character from the pattern, I will use to fetch the character from the string. Okay, if both are equal, then if j value reaches the last character, then it means that the pattern is matched. So it will match, it will send from which location it is matched, otherwise it will return false. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss about KMP algorithm and the sparse matrix. Okay.